It's 11:47 p.m. on a Tuesday. You're scrolling Amazon in bed. You just bought something you don't need with money you barely have, to impress people who aren't even looking. And the worst part isn't the dent in your bank account. It's that your brain physically needed you to make that purchase. You see, there is a specific moment, an exact split second where your financial future is decided. We'll get to that exact moment. But first, you need to understand why. Everything you've been taught about saving money is actually making you poorer. Right now, your brain is wired for what scientists call the hedonic treadmill. You want a thing, you buy the thing, you get a massive spike of dopamine, and then 72 hours later, the baseline resets. The thing is no longer new. It's just your stuff. So you need a new hit. You need a bigger purchase. It's not a spending problem. It's an addiction problem. Let's look at a 2018 study. Researchers tracked people who received sudden windfalls of cash. They found that their happiness levels spiked immediately, but within 6 months, their happiness dropped back to exactly where it was before, sometimes even lower. Why? Because they spent the money upgrading their lifestyle. Bigger house, better car, nicer clothes. They bought comfort, but they sacrificed freedom. True wealth isn't the ability to buy whatever you want. Wealth is the absence of anxiety. It's the ability to wake up on a Tuesday and say, I can do whatever I want today. But to get there, you have to rewire how your brain processes dopamine. Right now, your brain gives you a reward when you subtract money from your account. You click buy, you get the hit. We need to flip that. We need your brain to release dopamine when you add money to your net worth. How do you do that? You make the invisible visible. You see, spending is highly visible. You can see the shoes. You can drive the car. People can compliment your watch. Saving is invisible. Nobody stops you on the street to compliment your S&P 500 index fund. Nobody sees the money you didn't spend. So you have to make it a game that you play with yourself. Every time you transfer money into an investment account, you aren't losing that money. You are buying a little piece of your own freedom. You are buying a Tuesday morning where you don't have to report to a boss. You are buying the ability to say no to things you hate. That is the product. And once you internalize that, buying cheap consumer junk stops feeling like a reward. It starts feeling like a tax on your freedom. Now, what happens when you actually start saving? At first, it feels like a punishment. Your brain throws a tantrum because it's being denied its usual dopamine hit. You'll convince yourself that you deserve a treat. You'll tell yourself that one small purchase won't matter. This is the danger zone. This is where 99% of people fail and go right back to being broke. You have to push through the withdrawal period. It takes about 3 months of aggressive saving before the rewiring happens. 3 months of watching a number go up on a screen instead of accumulating physical junk. And then something magical occurs. You hit a critical mass. The balance in your account gets large enough that it starts generating its own gravity. You look at it and realize, wait, I have a safety net. The anxiety that used to live in the back of your throat, gone. The panic when your car makes a weird noise, evaporated. You walk into your job differently. You speak to your boss differently, because you are no longer a hostage to your next paycheck. This psychological shift is the true secret of the wealthy. They don't use money to buy objects. They use money to buy leverage. Leverage over their time. Leverage over their environment. And here's the crazy part. Once you taste that kind of leverage, buying a designer shirt feels incredibly stupid. Why would you trade actual power for a piece of fabric? You wouldn't. The desire completely vanishes. But we still haven't talked about the most insidious trap of all, the concept of lifestyle creep. As your income goes up, your baseline expenses naturally want to rise with it. You get a raise, so you rent a nicer apartment. You get a bonus, so you lease a newer car. Before you know it, you're making twice as much money, but you're just as broke. You've just upgraded the treadmill. It's running at the same speed, but it's got a leather handrail now. To beat lifestyle creep, you have to create an artificial scarcity. When that raise hits your bank account, you immediately automate the difference into investments. Your checking account never sees it. Your brain never gets used to it. You live exactly like you did before, while your wealth compounds in the background. You become a stealth millionaire, someone who looks average on paper, but wields immense financial power in reality. Let's talk about the specific mechanics of this rewiring process. First, you need to perform a dopamine audit on your spending. Go through your last 3 months of bank statements. Highlight every single purchase that was driven by emotion. The late-night takeout when you had food in the fridge. The subscription box you haven't opened. The hobby equipment you used twice. Calculate the total. Look at that number. That number is the exact price you paid to remain trapped. It's a bitter pill to swallow, but it's necessary. Think about Mike. Mike makes $120,000 a year. He drives a brand new BMW, wears a Rolex, and takes vacations to Tulum. On Instagram, Mike looks like he's winning the game, but Mike is secretly terrified. His car payment is $900 a month. His rent is $3,000. His credit card minimums are suffocating. If Mike misses to paychecks, his entire life collapses like a house of cards. Mike is a high-income earner, but he is fundamentally poor. Now look at Sarah. Sarah makes $60,000 a year. She drives a 10-year-old Honda Civic. She brings her lunch to work. But Sarah saves 30% of her income and aggressively invests it. Sarah has $150,000 in liquid assets. If Sarah's boss yells at her, she can walk out the door and survive for 4 years without working. Sarah is a moderate-income earner, but she is wealthy. Society trains us to envy Mike, but the math tells us to be Sarah. The problem is, our brains are not evolved for math. Our brains are evolved for social status. We are primates who want the shiniest rock to impress the other monkeys. To become truly wealthy, you have to fight millions of years of evolutionary programming. You have to accept looking like a peasant while secretly building an empire. This is the ultimate flex, knowing that you could buy the table, the restaurant, and the block, but choosing to order water. It's quiet confidence versus loud insecurity. Second, you need to introduce friction. Your brain wants a seamless transaction. Apple Pay, one-click buy, saved credit cards. These are designed to bypass your prefrontal cortex. Delete your saved cards. Force yourself to type out the numbers manually. Add a 24-hour waiting period for any purchase over $50. Remember that split second I mentioned earlier, the moment where your financial future is decided. It happens right when you feel the impulse to buy. Between the stimulus seeing the item and the response clicking checkout, there is a gap. And in that gap lies all of your power. If you can train yourself to pause in that gap for just 24 hours, the dopamine spike crashes, the illusion breaks, and you look at the item and realize you don't actually want it. You just wanted the feeling of buying it. So take that money, the money you were about to waste, and buy your freedom instead. Log into your brokerage account, buy an index fund, watch the number go up, and force yourself to feel the rush of satisfaction. You just bought a piece of your future. And unlike the junk on Amazon, your future actually appreciates in value. Anyway, I'm collecting donations in the form of subscribes to fund the next video.